curious how you found the experience of trying to run, for lack of a better term, a home studio for your PT.
That was tricky. I didn't realize at the time, but just getting enough traction. But a huge thing for me was bringing strangers to home.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was a big barrier for me. I'm living with family, and so different story if it was just my space, but it's family space too. So respecting that, it was just until I sat down and did some of the standout modules and workshops, I was like, oh, penny dropped. I'm like, that's probably why. I just need to be out somewhere else.
Yeah.
But from when I became a PT, transitioned all the way through, I always got the notion that big box gyms were shit. And that was always my last go-to.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Was it because you thought it would be less pressure, because you thought less overheads, or was it just like the circles that you were in were like, it's a scam system and that kind of attitude that happens with big box?
Yeah. Probably the second. So less overheads and the circles.
Yeah.
The impressions that I got.
Yeah.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah. So what were you told the downsides of working in a health club? We'll say health club instead of big box.
Yeah, health clubs, that you get the support for the initial period, and then they like fuck you off. Like you're on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is true.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
it absolutely is true, but it's like if you go off on your own, you don't get any support ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the side I never understood and
Yeah.
never like.
I can't. Yeah, I always like kind of really can't grasp that. I'm like, but you don't get any if you're in your own garage. So
Yeah.
12 weeks is better than none, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, like, I think,
The rent has a lot to do with it too.
of course,
though, right?
the overhead of $15K a year for most health clubs is going to be thereabouts. I'd say 10 to 20, depending on where you are.
Yeah, it'd be more than
I think the pressure of that terrifies so many people. For us, when we're in the model, it was like all the PTs in the PT room were like, fucking pay my rent and I don't get anything and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, so your fit out, we probably shouldn't disclose what we paid for U-Strong. It's like, build that. And then pay the bond, and then pay the utilities that go out every single week, and the internet, and all the overheads that go with that. So it's like opening your own spot isn't, and you'll hear a lot of PTs be like, oh, fucking just like open my own warehouse. It's like 30 grand a year. It's not even that much more. It's like, brother.
That's just to sign the lease in a small place, man. It's
Yeah.
Do you have
so many more overheads?
Do you have 6 months of that up front for the rent? Do you also have another 6 months of that just sits in a bank account until you leave? That's useless to anyone.
Yeah,
Then do you have
deposit?
marketing costs? Your flooring is going to be $8,000.
I was just about to say the deposit for the floor alone is going to set you back a lot. You have to sell a testicle
so it's like
for that.
you're talking about 5 to 10 years
Yeah.
of paying rent
Something breaks,
just to fit out.
you got to fix it,
Literally.
clean it.
Before coming on to Standout or STC, the goal was to open up my own private studio.
Yeah.
And that was the goal, ultimate goal for every PT starting out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And until I came into the assistant manager role and understood a little bit of what it takes to run a club, but then also talking to you guys, I was like, hold a minute. Let me just reevaluate
Need
this.
to reevaluate my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just see how maybe it is still the goal, but it's just a filter's been taken off. It's like, this is what reality is now to owning
Yeah.
a gym.
Yeah. I think it's important. A lot of people that listen to this, we hope, like your students and all that kind of stuff, to get an insight in what the benefits of paying rent to a gym is. We all know that the support isn't what it is, and we've been
In some places.
Because
Technically, we got the support.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not every place.
We also have been very critical of like PT managers and kind of like a lot of them are there because it's like, why do you take the 30K a year if you could make 100? It's like, that's the question you've got to ask.
Yeah.
So there's good ones that are like, I want to be club manager and this is the step.
Yeah, climbing this.
And then there's the not so good ones that are, I didn't make it, so I'll
can
just take a salary. And
I can do 20 hours a week and a little bit of PT on top.
correct. So there are downsides, but just for context, our marketing budget for Ustrong is roughly $600 a week. Your rent's $300. That's just the marketing budget.
Yeah,
And that's just to get people in the door. So the trade-offs for that rent are insane. Just I would look at it if I was new walking in. The value for the rent is you're paying for access to the member list. And to maintain access to that member list is that dollar figure per week. Because you can make exponentially more because you have those leads that every other business owner is paying for.
Yep.
And when you're working from home, you're either paying for it with time, which is a huge commitment to social media and outreach and learning marketing and paying us to then study and all the things that you need to do to be able to attract people, or you can pay and make a phone call. That's your trade-off. So everyone that we've spoken to that's like started out at home and come through Standout is like, probably should have just went to the health club. You agree?
I'd say so. Yeah, 100%. At least get that exposure, get your reps in, coach people, get in front of as many people as you can, and that's the best place to do it.
Yeah.
And then if you want to divert from that, you've got that choice and experience behind you at least.
Yeah. So what was your, if you don't mind asking, peak sessions for the home setup?
6 to 8 per week.
How many are you doing now?
Like 40.
$300 a week doesn't sound like so much. I need
No.
40 compared to 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much 40, and then if I get extra consults and stuff, then it's
Yeah, so 8 sessions versus 40 sessions.
Yeah.
It's same person. Yes, you obviously have more support and like obviously part of the team and all that kind of stuff, the mentoring and everything that comes with that. But yeah, environment plays a pretty big role in
Huge.
your available success.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, even it's natural to have that scarcity mindset because it's default. So you like look at everything with scarcity. So it's like, oh, $300, like my first couple of sessions.
Yeah.
And if you've come from home gym, you go, oh, 6 sessions. That means like 5 of those are going to the gym. I only have 1 session for me.
Correct.
So you're like, well, of course you're going to default with that. But if you flip the coin and you know exactly what you need to do and you have an abundance mindset, you're like, okay, well, the first 5 sessions are for the gym and I'm going to have 30, 40 sessions, whatever I want.
Yeah.
The other 25 to 30 are for me.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think like it made it easier for you and I because we were already in it.
Yeah.
So we had the exposure.
Yeah.
It's like, it's no different to like where you live. Like your first home is predicated on what you see the value of every other house, right? So I knew people where their first homes were like $800-900 grand. And I was like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, that's just what they cost around here. And then like here we are like living elsewhere and it's like first house is like $400-500.
Yeah.
And we're just like, what the fuck? It's like, but the exposure made it normal.
Yeah.
So we were already in the gym. So we were like, oh, cool. So, $300 and then everything else on top of that is for you.
Yeah. Everyone's doing 30 sessions a week. That's fair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing being at home too is you don't have that.
No, you can't see what's possible.
No. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge as well.
Yeah.
But also, don't worry about it. Left my mind. Come back to it.
So obviously on the flip side
So
of that
rapid.
too. Yeah. That happened quick.
It was like right at the
Clip that there. Even if it's just for us. That's coming up at the Christmas party, that one.
So I think that obviously the big difference, and we're going to talk about the STC Academy as it's now known, which if you've been following us for a long time, you know that we've done mentorship. We've had STC trainers before. Repackaged, redelivered, redone, and Mimi's making it heaps better as she's taken on the head coach role in that. The benefit of the academy is you get the education and the support where you get the plan of, I know exactly what to do. So you've got the system and you don't have to do like the admin, the build of the business, the programming, everything's there for you to succeed. You don't have to like try and figure it out on your own.
You get time back.
Yeah, you get the what to do, but you don't get the why and the
Yeah.
how just yet. But you get taught the why and the how along the way.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get your time back. You get to reinvest on your business and not always just be in it,
Yeah.
and feel like whatever you do is just never enough.
Mm.
That anxiety has been lifted huge.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, not enough. And if you know that you're not doing enough, you know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, based on that,
Mm.
describe your first month as a health club PT.
It was great.
That's good.
No, it was great. I think I could have just said it anyway.
Yeah, I was like,
This could go anywhere.
I've forgotten.
It's
that
horrible.
one.
I can't. I'm just going through the timeline.
Yeah.
No, I think because I was already assistant manager there, and I was so familiar with the environment, the people that were the
Yep.
members. It was a very smooth transition for me personally.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
can't complain.
Yeah.
And it was easier for me to talk to people that I already saw every day.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest challenges were?
I'd say picking up the phone
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then just getting comfortable with making conversation. There was a lot of imposter syndrome around like selling, but it was just shifting that mindset to, you're not selling anything to them just yet. It's just get to know them, see how you can help them out
Yeah.
as a huge value point. And then if you guys are a good fit, push
Yeah.
hard, go
Solve the
hard.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest obstacles would have been had it not been for the academy model?
I would try to spread myself out too thin in every single area of the business
Yeah.
and not get anything done.
Yeah. So if I'm a new PT, I don't even know what I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So like, where do you think, what are you going to spread across? It's like the admin side, building system side, obviously sales, we still needed to kind of push through. What else do you think you would have been like distracted with?
It'd be because there's usually like a grace period where you don't pay rent,
Mhm.
and so you're chill for a bit. But then when that period ends, it's like, shit, I need to get clients. I
Mhm.
need sessions. Like, as much as you're here helping people and that's the end goal, you need to eat. Fuck, it's such
Yeah.
a real, like,
Yeah.
you're running a business. You got to eat. You got to do shit. Pay
Yeah.
bills. And so stepping out of that scarcity mindset and stepping into, okay, if something's not working this week, I know where to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having a tracking method for your business, knowing your numbers, that scared me the most. Oh, how to squat? All right, let's go. How to do exercise? Let's go. Business,
Track your
numbers.
business,
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think urgency in that first
Yeah.
4 weeks,
Yeah.
that non-rent period's important too.
Yeah.
So it's like ignorance.
Mm.
They don't understand that in the first week, like, it's not there to just say hi to everyone and then just like chill and stuff. It's like the week before you should have got a list and made appointments for the first day.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go and introduce yourself to the team the day you start. Like, you've already done that the week before and you're ready to do everything in that first 4 weeks to get the clients. So sometimes, like, there's a lot of things, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. And that can be your biggest, like, threat at the same time. Because once that first, kind of rental period ticks over, you're like, oh fuck.
Shit.
It's
Yeah.
real.
Like,
yeah.
No
now it's like, I've got no momentum. And you're like, oh shit, where do I go? And
Yeah.
all you think about is like, I need to get clients. But it's like, that's not that's not going to get you more.
Yeah.
Like, you need to think about the things
method.
that are going to get you the clients. Like, I need calls, appointments, a sales system, like, a consult system. Like, I need communication skills. I need all of these things.
Yeah.
And we should have been implementing those the week before you started.
I think that looking back at your first month from my point of view, like coaching you through it, they're the ones that stand out. It's like I think you did 70 calls the week before you started
Yeah.
because we were like, this is what your first week should look like.
Yeah.
You should have, if you can get 10 appointments, you're on from week one. It's the checklist of that. Then it's even like, but what do I say on the phone?
Yeah.
Like most personal trainers are still trying to figure that out week 4.
And you had a background in retail.
Yeah.
So you're like
Steps ahead of a
communication
lot.
skills. Yeah. So imagine if you didn't. Like
Yeah.
that's going to be even more.
What do I say on the phone?
I don't know
How
how to
do I
speak.
do a consult? What do I actually say? Do I do the fucking sit and reach test that they taught me in Cert 4, or do I just train someone? Or like, how do I put that together? And then what price should I have? And how do I tell someone the price? And how do I do all of that? Like the overwhelm that so quickly can come in, and you're trying to figure that all out, and then rent comes and I don't have any clients yet. It's like, you can see why so many people fall out of the industry so quick, because that can just like come crashing down really quick. And then you talked about the tracking and having the feedback, like looking back at your data early, effort was never a problem. And I've seen people get overwhelmed and not do the thing because they're just like scared. We definitely didn't have that as a problem for you. Effort was there, but the reward for effort wasn't, because the sales skills weren't there yet. And you could watch it on the data, be like, calls are awesome, booking's awesome, consults to showing up to the next session's awesome, closing, we're losing out too much. And then you just watch. It's like, we would have a call, change this language, change this. The next week it's a little better. The next week it's a little better. The next week it's a little better. The percentage of PTs that would, after that first week, just be like, I'm in the western suburbs, no one's got any money because everyone's saying they can't afford it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's it. Like, you just owned that position, so you drop your price, or you're like trying to sell packs, or you just like this desperation mindset comes in because it's like, fuck, got that $250 coming out next week. That becomes really, really challenging.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think first month having that structure, and if you're not going through the STC Academy, stop it. DM us instead. But these are the things that you need to think about if you want to get on your feet face to face and hit the ground running and not have that pressure later on.
Even just having that guidance of understanding what those numbers mean.
Mm.
You know, like, okay, I'm tracking my numbers, and so what?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
What do they represent?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be able to interpret it so that you have actionable steps afterwards to either, yep, we're in the right track, keep going, or something needs to change.
Yeah. Working with people with the high achiever mindset too is wild. So I said that some people won't do the calls and some people will. And then the high achievers are always like, is this enough?
Yeah. The first, I think 5 catch-up calls, mentoring sessions we had, I'm like, I'm just not going to say anything until Ben asks me a question, because right now nothing is enough right now.
Yeah. At the end of every call is like, can I do anything more? Is this okay?
Is words of validation your love language? Like, are you like acts of service or gifts? Or, because we're all words of affirmation like this. This whole business is run on that. So,
I need words. I need that. Like, okay, what's going on?
Join us.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're all just
we'll put that on the interview list now.
Yeah.
It's like, are you self-sufficient?
So
you just need words of affirmation.
Can you
once
tick
a
your
week?
love language? It's like, it's not words of affirmation. You're out.
You want gifts? Nah.
Yeah, acts of service. Whoa.
Fuck, I didn't even know where I was going now. Yeah, so it's like getting to the end of those calls was like, oh man, I only closed at 50%. To then hear, yeah, of course you did. It's like, oh, okay, that's normal. I'm like, yeah, like we want to get you to 70, but most people in their first month, their first quarter, 50%'s good. Like, because you're still learning, you're still understanding it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So the anxiety that you carry into next week, into the next consult, the next time someone says no, it's like, oh, it's okay. Like 1 in 2 people are going to say no, and that's fine. Versus perfectionist, anxious, high achiever kind of vibes, you're like, everyone should say yes. And how often do we get in standout, like, oh, everyone's saying, I need to think about it. You're like, okay, how many consults did you do? I did 4. Okay, and how many people said I need to think about it? 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, that's not everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a really important part of it as well.
Yeah, and not knowing your conversion rate and not getting in front of everyone. Because like if you're not great at it at the time, it's like, cool, just make your effort higher. Yeah. And the numbers will take care of themselves, right? And then at the same time, you got the comfort of, we'll get that up to 70%. You're like, oh, cool. Yeah. You know, and then you got the resources and all of that, right? If you're somebody who knows none of this, you get one opportunity to sell, you don't, and then you're just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I need to go get clients again.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah. Instead of start the process again, review the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What did I miss?
Work on my numbers.
Yeah.
Work on everything. Get more.
Yeah. And we've got exactly this. It's amazing how identical the data with our new trainer is.
Yeah.
It's like that first week, because the standard was come in with heaps of appointments and just smash
Crush it.
It's so funny. Like, I know what is normal for Mimi, and I know that this trainer's coming through that she's just like, yeah, I made 70 phone calls in the first week.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, most people do 10.
Yeah.
But you're just like, yeah. So he's doing it too.
Yeah.
No, but it's good to have that standard, man. Yeah.
Well, he
that's
went
it.
none from 4.
Yep.
His first 4 consults missed.
Yep.
Imagine you don't have a mentor, you don't have the support, you don't have the data,
Yeah,
you
you're
don't have the
crushed.
system.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Like, winning increases the likelihood of you winning again,
Yeah.
but losing does the opposite.
Also improves the chance
Yeah.
of losing.
Yeah.
So imagine being in that situation
Yeah,
and
no
being
belief.
like,
No belief, no confidence, no
Well,
support.
Like, you got that stress of that timeline, rent's coming up,
yeah,
and then making calls. And if you're not used to making calls, there's that burnout of like being on
Why
the
am I doing
phone so
this?
much. Yeah, and
Why
then
am I doing
everything
this?
just adds up, and everything is saying, "This is not made for you anymore."
yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, like no,
Yeah, it's not for me.
yeah,
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 yeah. And then
So
it's,
quickly.
instead it's like, so tell me what you say here.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, I just like say like, hey, let me know if you want to do personal training. It's like, all right, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
And then the next week it's 40%. And then I think he's up like the most recent weeks, like 60%.
Yeah, you just got to get that first one too. It's like,
Yeah.
Get the
Mark you off the
confidence.
back, man.
Yeah, and
Fuck.
it's like,
Yeah,
you
you're holding.
won. So it's like, let's go.
Yeah, you guys have them digitally now, but like holding the price card, but you're like, and it's this much per week. I remember the first
Everyone
time
remembers the first person that said yes.
when I don't remember my first sale. I
Really?
remember when
I
I
do.
put my prices up to $2 a minute,
Yeah.
and I presented the 2 and 3 sessions. It was $180.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. Like, I was like eating fucking
Yeah.
baked beans and tuna.
Yeah.
I don't think I had a bed base. It was just a mattress on the floor. Like, I was just fucking surviving, man. Like, I should have had a Macca's job, but I was too stubborn. And I'm like asking this lady, like,
Yeah.
would you like to give me $180 a week? Which in my mind is like life-changing amounts of money. And she's like, yeah, it'd be great. I was like, okay, let's go.
2015 as well.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. Crazy.